What's up, y'all? It is Kiara the Woman, and welcome to another affair of a Single Mother Success podcast where we discuss all things womanhood and provide weekly doses of self love, empowerment, and insight to the mental and spiritual being of you as a woman, no matter where you are in your womanhood journey. Hello, everybody, all of the wonderful women under the sound of my voice. This is your warm, womanly welcome. And I'm excited about today's episode simply because this is literally a mommy and me episode. I am obviously by the title, I am discussing our baby's brains today. Like I said, this episode is definitely a mommy and me podcast. So I will have my son on this episode somewhere in here, like somewhere, because he loves to record on the mic just like I've grown to love doing. So I'm just going to give him a little segment simply because I will be talking about him a lot. And I want to say that the disclaimer is I'm not bragging on my son. I'm simply just talking about his development and how he got to where he is now at 4 years old. But I just adjusted the mic. I hope y'all can hear that. But if you could, my bad. But yeah, so I'm not bragging, but I will have him come on the episode and say a little something to you all. He's not unfamiliar to any episodes or the mic. He's either in the background or somewhere doing something while I'm recording. I'm expecting him to come in before I call him in here at some point, but we'll see. So up until that point, I wanted to talk obviously about the title of the episode, which is setting the foundation for our baby's brains. So, in my opinion, the way that I look at it, when I had like my kid, or even before I had my kid, my thoughts are this: like, our baby's brains, like, they have brand new brains, brand new blank canvases, like new construction houses, new laptops, new cars, new shoes, whatever you need to metaphorically compare your baby's brain to is the precious piece of them that hasn't been touched yet. And in that same space, breath, and thought, you also have to understand that you, mama, are responsible for your baby's development. All of their developments, really, occupationally, intellectually, physically, any way that your baby is supposed to like develop, you are responsible for that. And I'm saying that with love, and maybe I'm biased, but your baby is your baby. It doesn't it matters if the father is in the baby's life and all, but you ultimately, and I know it's not fair, but ultimately they do look at the mother when it comes to the development of our babies. So before I came a mother, though, when I was only having the thoughts about it and making the when I become a mother, my child is this and my child is that declarations, like, I knew that I'd be raising my child completely different than the way that I was raised, and maybe even different from the way other parents might be raising their kids today, or even at the time that I was making those declarations. Even at that time, I just knew that I was gonna do something different. I wasn't sure what the different was and things like that, but I was prepared to stand on that regardless of what anyone thought about my parenting. So now that I'm actually a mother, I can say in this very moment, I can confidently say that I've done that thus far. So toast to me for that, but that's not, I'm still toast to somebody else at the end of the segment. Anyways, so um the decisions that I make for my son are one those like okay, how can I say this? The decisions I make for my son, I don't waver on. I that's literally like one thing, one way becoming a mother changed and developed me in a positive way. I became more decisive and I became more of an unwavering woman by first becoming an unwavering mother. So, with all that being said, because I really didn't know all that was going to come out, but I really do get passionate when I talk about motherhood because I think that our like when you become a mother is really important. I think it's like the most important role in our community, in our family, like in the world. Like mothers are, to be real, like mothers are we're the MVPs. I don't know, you know, how anybody else feels about it, but that's just how I feel. This is my podcast. If you don't like it, you can exit out of the app you're currently listening on and not come back. I'm just saying, it's free will here. Anyways, so and then I get this way about my own motherhood specifically, but when I talk about it with other women, I get more passionate because it's another woman and I just hope that she can relate. So anyways, though, here are a few gems and jewels to take with you on your journey in motherhood, whether you're a new mommy or a soon to be mommy, or even a rich auntie who babysits from time to time or all the time. With whatever role you play in these babies' lives, this episode is for you, and hopefully you can take some of these gems and jewels and put them in your crown until you know you need them later or you need them today. I don't know, I'm just saying. Anyways, so let's cut that one silent. Let's see, give me 1 second, y'all. I want to make sure that if I do this, you'll still be able to hear me. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. Okay, I had to make sure y'all can hear me. So, anyways, getting into it, our babies have brand new brains and we are responsible for their development, right? So, we have to put, in my opinion, I think, and this is what I did, I think that we have to put decrees and declarations and all things real life useful in our babies' brains as early as possible. So, just think about it. Whenever you're building or creating something or planning or starting something, period, you must lay down some kind of, or you must start with some kind of foundation, right? And the foundation is what goes down first, or what gets put in, right? Is what everything stands on. And I want to make like complete sense. So we are going to take the actual definition. Let's look up the definition of foundation. Google has three definitions. So we're going to go with two and three. We don't even really have to go with three, but it's just, I'm going to read two and three. Number two is an underlying basis or principle. So yeah, I think foundation is a good word for our topic. And number three says the action of establishing an institution or organization on a permanent basis, especially with an endowment. So, you know, we can go with three simply because the mind is an institution, depending on how you institutionalize it, and it can be an organization depending on how you organize it. I just said that just to say that, honestly, but we're ultimately sticking with number two definition number two on Google, which is an underlying basis or principle. So I think that the underlying basis and principles should be decrees and declarations, and all things that are actually useful for us, like all of the wise words that we learn when we get older. I think that we should lay those things down as foundations first, because when like all else fails, those things are what we have to hold on to, like the old sayings and words of wisdom and things like that. I just think that that's just my thought, and that's what I did. So when my baby was a newborn, I looked at my brand new newborn baby and his brain in the exact same way. And here's a real fact, not a fact I just made up. It's a real life fact, y'all. And I honestly, when I found this out, it kind of shocked me at the moment that I found it out. But the fact is this: our baby's formative years are between the ages of newborn and 8 years old. It really says 7, just to be clear. It says 7, but I say 8 because I don't know. I just like to do a little extra than what, if they tell me 7, I'm gonna say, oh well, 8 then. If they say 8, I'm gonna say 9. If they say 9, you get what I'm saying. So yeah, and when I got that information without even knowing that, I was already just like, to me, and like with my child, I was already like, okay, the foundation he has will be the foundation he can stand on mentally as he gets older and becomes more aware of life and what life is really about. So basically, like I was just saying, having the words of wisdom and knowing that life is more than what he visually sees or what his emotions might tell him, or what, things that are my generation struggles with now. So yeah, I had the privilege of having my mom's assistance early in the newborn stages of my motherhood. And the more that she seen me getting the hang of it, the more she stepped back, in some ways voluntarily, and in other ways we just had to have honest conversations and grow through things. So of course, it was honest conversations about her point of view and her opinions of my parenting. All in all, after the honest conversations, I was honored, and I was honored with the award by my mother. Like, not even an award, it was a title that she gave me. I was honored with the title of being a tiger mom. And per her, I did not look this up, and any of my Asian descent families, any of my Asian listeners, if feel free to comment, because I do not know. I'm just taking this from my mother and what she said. Anyways, the title that she awarded me with was the title of a tiger mom. Per her, this is how Asian families refer to the mother who is viewed um basically as strict or tough, like the tough mom or the strict mom. And, I gladly accepted the title because she gave it to me. Now, do I personally feel like a strict or tough mom? Absolutely not. I'm just unwavering, like I said, in the ways that I've created to develop in my son the first 8 years of his life. That's it. And that's all. So, the first, not even the first gen, I don't even like calling this. I think I'm gonna stop calling these things, like, it's just a conversation. So since my son was a newborn, I've been filling his head with like affirmations. If I calculate it, honestly, it's 78 to 104 affirmations, because they're alphabet affirmations. So 26 letters in the alphabet and 3 to 4 words per letter. So I started off saying them to him every morning, and now he's 4 years old and he can recite them by himself. So I'm very proud of that, and I do think that it's important for us to affirm our babies, because when they go out into this world, they do have to interact with other people's children who aren't being affirmed, or who aren't getting the same love and attention that they get in their home. So I send my baby out into the world knowing that, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, knowing that he is like brilliant, knowing that he can do anything. He's strong, he's tough, he possesses gratitude, he's grateful, he's amazing, and just words to affirm him. So I also put in his head, or like with his affirmations, there's a part in the beginning that he says it's a decree and a declaration that calls him to be in tune with what is happening within him every day when he rises from his slumber. It secures him in his skin, in the power of his identity, and it secures him in like the right and purpose of being alive, like his right and purpose of being alive. It that And I just think that's important again, because in our world, our brown boys are like it on the news at least. And I don't even watch the news like that, but Instagram kind of is like a news feed too, depending on who you follow. And the shade room be saying stuff. I follow people like Boyce Watkins and Amanda Seals. So I be seeing all of this stuff sometimes about how our black boys are being treated in this country. So that's why again it's important for me to let my son know, like, and secure him in his right and purpose for being alive and being here. So just about every morning, this is a necessity for him to know before he walks out of our home. The other side of this is literally he lives in his affirmations every day. Like he boldly walks in his affirmations, and sometimes honestly I be having to remind him that I'm instilling these affirmations into him to take out into the world. You still need to ask me for juice and not demand me, because for D, we were saying that he's demanding, but I'm gonna wait till he gets older, because I think that comes we switched out the D's. We switched out some words for the D, because he be demanding me to do stuff, and I be like, okay, like I know you believe because you say you affirm yourself in the morning, but I need you to be don't be demanding with me. That's all I'm trying to say. Don't don't be demanding with me. Be demanding but not with me. So we took that one out, and we're just gonna, you know, put that bring that one, introduce that one later, maybe on a word wall or something. Anyway though, so when it came to education, that's like, affirmations and decree and declarations is like the first pour of foundation. You get what I'm saying? I hope that made sense to some people. So when it came to education, from the time he was born until about 3 years old, it was only strictly, I'm saying strictly because I was literally like, no, we not doing that. So it was strictly letters, words, numbers, shapes, and other languages. Needless to say, for the first 3 years of my life, for the first 3 years of my son's life, I guess we can say he was homeschooled. And I'm okay with saying that. Some people ask when they talk to him, like, oh, like, how is he this and how is he that? And I'm like, well, he was homeschooled for the first 3 years of his life because I was at home with him and I was like teaching him everything that he knows now. So he's still in the beginning stages of 4 different languages: Kiswahili, French, Spanish, and American Sign Language, which ASL, if I'm not mistaken, they like that's one of the first languages he learned, honestly, because it like at the hospital or whatever, or some hospitals, I guess, I even took it upon myself also to figure out how I could communicate with my baby before he could start speaking. And sign language was one of those things that you could do with your baby because they can use their hands to say eat or hungry or sad or, express themselves. So that was really one of the first ones he learned. And when it came to like the tablet, it was all learning games on the tablet. And I put his learning games in English and I had him some learning games in Spanish too. So that's how he picked up on those. I had or I still have, because he still plays his tablet, and he still has to play his learning games before he plays like any other before he does anything else. So I put the French games on there and Kiswahili games. So that's how he was able to develop those languages early, because I introduced them to him early while in the formative years between 0 and 8 years old. Seven they say, eight is what I say, just to be clear. So and now he's reading on a first grade reading level. He's 4 years old, reading on a first grade reading level. He speaks very well and he has like this broad vocabulary. He's a great communicator. And he's excuse me, y'all. I really need some water, honestly. He knows the value of the US currency pieces. And we're currently working on adding and subtracting. And we just started our writing. And I'm only saying all of this to say these are things that, like, personally, me as an adult, I'm like, when I was in high school, you know how many times I tried to learn Spanish and it did not work. And I only know a little bit of French from that one song that we were singing as kids that we shouldn't have been singing. I only know ASL because I watched Switched at Birth when I was in high school. So that's the only reason why I know how to communicate a little bit in ASL. And Kiswahili, I just started learning when I started teaching him. So, like, what is that? And I just think that when the earlier you learn how to do things, the easier it is before you start overthinking, before you start not having time, before you start all of that stuff. So that's the only reason why I'm speaking on all of this, is because the way that my son is now is because this is how he's grown up. He's a fast learner, and I have to credit that to him being in a structured and learning environment since he got here. Since the dude came out, it's been structured, it's been learning, and he's a fast learner now because of that. And I think that that is a that's a good I think that's a good thing, and that's the only reason why I'm sharing it. Again, it's not to brag, but it's just to share a part of my motherhood journey that positively affected my son. So now that he's 4 and he's getting older by the day, it seems like, and I get so emotional when I think about it because he's just growing up. Oh my god. Anyways, I am confident in his awareness and in his discernment, and I feel like now that he has somewhat of a pretty solid foundation, now I let him watch cartoons and stuff because he can read. He's on a first grade reading level, so I'm like, okay, give a little, take a little. He knows how to read. He knows his colors in French. Like he's aware of these things. He's a smart kid. So now I let him watch cartoons and stuff. Of course, they're still age appropriate. But learning does come first, and he knows it. So like even today, before he wanted to play on the tablet, I'm like, let's get your writing book. Let's trace the letter B 3 times, uppercase and lowercase, before we get on any gadgets or turn on any TVs. So, and he did that, and I'm proud of him. And his reward is now you can get on the tablet. So, um, yeah, I just think that's good. So I'm just sharing this with you all to put emphasis on how important it is to monitor and precisely choose the way we speak to our child, what we tell our children, and how we make our children feel about themselves, and how, I think we should get them to feel about themselves. Like, forget us. What's gonna matter is how our kid feels about themselves. So that's why I said the decrees and declarations and the affirmations are important. And I think that every parent, should, hop on that train, and especially for our brown boys and our brown girls, our brown babies in the world. I think that, we should be on it when it comes to letting them know who they are, whose they are, and things like that. I honestly, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be the one to say it. I think that we have to stop calling our kids bad. We have to stop calling them ugly, stupid, scary, wild, like disrespectful, because their little brains are just going to believe whatever you tell them. So I think that along with the decrees and declarations and affirmations, what is going on? I need water. We also have to stop blaming our kids for their behavior, and come to the realization that we are who they model themselves after. First of all, they model themselves after us too. We're their living example, so they're gonna do what we do. And if it's not us, then it's the people we're allowing to be around them, or the people we're putting in front of them, like, on the TV, or through the environment, or on the tablet. So, as a mother, to be the change in our generation, we have to start with our seeds, and we have to do things that may be foreign to our parents, because they're they're different from what our parents know. The things that, like, we know so much now, and we have such a better way of teaching our kids, that of course it's going to be foreign to our parents, but it's okay. That's why I said this podcast is for, like, women in every stage of womanhood, whether it's a grandmother, a mother, or a young girl, not like too young, but women who haven't become mothers yet and are still, like, maybe graduating high school or first year in college and things like that. So, um, yeah, that was my little rant, I guess. I don't know. It's our opportunity to teach new ways to our parents. It's our opportunity to teach new ways to our kids, ways that were different from, the ways that we were brought up. So, this is a part of, like, past women learning from us present women, and us present women creating the culture for our future women to step into. So we have to be the ones to change and stand in our change for it to take root and take place. So if you're a mommy to be, or you're a mommy for the first time or for the fourth time, consider healthy developmental skills outside of what your pediatrician is telling you. Exceed the mark with your baby. So when you go to the doctor, they have, like, well, at least at my baby's doctor, they have, like, this chart of what your kids should be learning at this age, and what your kids should be doing at this age, and this and this and that. And I'm saying exceed that mark with your baby. This will boost your confidence as a mother. It did for me, at least, and it will automatically, or your baby will automatically adopt that same energy, because we be transferring energy to these babies. So yeah, I just think that we should be, especially as brown people in the community, we need to be exceeding, because we are excellent. We are like great. We do surpass the status quo every time. Everything they expect of us, we surpass it. So I honestly think that doing these things and introducing our baby to things earlier, like before their brain gets tainted with the world and what it has to force on our babies, I think that we should be the ones to set the foundation and exceed the marks that they have put on our babies to begin with. So yeah. And now, since I know y'all all tuned in to this episode, it's time for my special guest, and I'm going to bring him on and let him say a few words, or let him tell you what he thinks about affirmations. And he'll most likely just say a couple of them or a couple of words in whatever language he chooses. I actually really don't know what the hell he's gonna say when he gets on here. And after that, we will of course close, and we'll do a toast and pull from our self-love deck. And yeah, so let me go get him. All right, y'all. He said he didn't want to do it, and that's okay, baby, because I mean, he honestly not feeling good right now anyway. So I just asked him to see if he wanted to, if he was up for it, and he wasn't. So that's okay. We are now going to move into the last part of our episode, which I think this was a really good episode. I hope you guys thought so too, or you ladies. I hope you women thought so too. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. Of course, I am getting ahead of myself. So I have pulled a card from the self-love deck. Shout out to Ace Metaphor and the Tonight's Conversation podcast. This card says, what line do you draw that people shouldn't cross, and what happens if they do? So, the answer to that question for me is the line of disrespect in any way. So by disrespect, I mean lying to me is disrespectful. Calling me on my name is disrespectful. Like even yelling at me when I'm not yelling at you is disrespectful. But mainly lying to me when you really did not have to is like the number one, like that's like top disrespect is lying to me. And it says, what happens if they do? So of course, my ex would be the best person to answer that question. I'm sorry, that was so much shade. Anyways, what happens if they do? Basically, now, because I can't do toxic, or it's not that I can't, but I'm choosing not to do toxic anymore. Now, when people disrespect me, I just stop talking to them. Like I just remove my presence, because I just don't allow anybody to mishandle me anymore. So the moment you become disrespectful is the moment you lose your access to me. And yeah, that's it. Short and sweet. Of course, you all can answer this question in the comments wherever you're listening. In the Facebook group, of course, it's more intimate, private group for the listeners only. And yeah, the question is, what line do you draw that people shouldn't cross, and what happens if they do? So yeah, answer that question. Also on the Facebook group, I want you guys to let me know what you guys thought about this episode. The call to action is to list some of the ways that you are pouring into your baby, and you know setting your baby's foundation. Share some of the tools that you're using, whether it be activities at home that are enhancing skills, or activities outside of the home that are enhancing skills. And it's not just, educational skills or things like that. Social skills also. Just how are you developing your baby? That is the call to action. And yeah, so we're going to move into the Toast to you, baby. I really need to get like a soundboard or something so I could do like a cling, like a wine toast, a cheers, clinking of glasses. I'm actually going to get on Amazon after I finish recording this episode and see um how I can get a soundboard because I really want to do add little sound effects to these little episodes. But yeah, anyways, so the toast is actually going to my mother this episode, and of course she's not going to be the one to slide in the DMs and say I accomplished this, I accomplished that, but I'm toasting to her because she did the best that she could with me and my sister, and she is respectful of the way that I'm choosing to mother and parent my son. So toast to her, and toast to her for her own actual accomplishments that I see that she's doing and accomplishing, and she's going through this shift in her life and she's going through it gracefully, and she's being rewarded for her obedience to God, and it's super inspirational. So yeah, toast to you, mommy. Toast to you, toast to you, toast to you. I will forever toast to you. I love you. And yeah, and that's all I have for you, ladies. Thank you for joining me this week. I really hope this episode did something for you. Share it with other women, other mothers. And yeah, take care of yourself and love yourself. Celebrate yourself. And yeah, the credits are rolling now. Thank you all for joining me this week on another affair of a Single Mother Success podcast. The links to all of our info will be in the description of this pod and any other pod streaming service that you're listening to. It will be available in the description below. Remember to join the Facebook group, the private Facebook group if you are a listener, and if you are a subscriber, go in there. There's a community there for you, community of women, and yeah, join the Facebook group. Subscribe. Oh yeah, subscribe to our weekly newsletter that comes out on Sundays at 10 a.m. and it's called Real Success Through Perseverance, Letters of Legacy. So it's just, like I said, a newsletter, and it gives you a weekly affirmation and a weekly scripture and a video to carry you throughout the week until we meet on the podcast on Thursday. So yeah, stay engaged, interact with us, follow us on Instagram. And when you get in the Facebook group, introduce yourself. But yeah, I just want to thank you all for listening to another episode and interacting with us and joining us this week. Going forward, throughout this week, remember to take care of yourself, ladies. Love yourself, forgive yourself, and celebrate yourself on the daily, on the hourly, on the minutely, on the secondly, baby. And remember, toast to yourself, even if you by yourself. Just because you by yourself don't mean you alone, and just because you alone don't mean that you lonely. Love your company, and love to spend time with yourself, because at the end, ourself is all we have. So take care of yourself, and I will see y'all next week.